Marvel games. They were fairly great back in the day. In the original Xbox PS2 era, they actually steamrolled DC, until DC caught its footing with the Arkham series and Injustice. This is when they were at their prime, as opposed to the decent but overrated PS4 games that are only good for skins and have the most cheesable combat. But quality criticisms aside, there's an atrocious flaw that Marvel games have. You read the title, Marvel's atrocious game preservation. Marvel games are getting railed. You can't buy any of these extremely solid Marvel games anymore. They are not for sale via ports or backwards compatible, which is something Xbox has done to insane degrees if the companies give them permission. Xbox has done this with most of DC's well-received video games, along with Star Wars games, which I gave its own video. DC and Star Wars at least provided a few ports, since PlayStation ain't got no time for that backwards compatibility apparently, despite being the best-selling console. But here's the funny thing about ports now that I mention it. Marvel was sort of doing it at a point, but then they still screwed up for reasons I can't figure out who to blame for. Activision, who made great Spider-Man games despite some blemishes, had a few ports of games that aren't Spider-Man games for some odd reason. They ported Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 and Deadpool, with all their DLC included, on top of it just looking a little better than the 360 and PS3 versions. But they lost the licensing and now they're no longer available for purchase along with the DLC for various 360 games. I missed my chance to get that amazing Spider-Man Rhino DLC, it looked fun as hell. Funny how that old game has character DLC unlike, but anyway, I had to hunt down a physical Xbox One copy of Deadpool. I got the digital Xbox One ports of Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 before they took it down luckily, and sadly they didn't even have a PS4 or Xbox One physical option, so it's now impossible to get the games in any way for the most part, besides some sketchy or overpriced means. Which really sucks ass for those who haven't got it. The ports honestly weren't marketed that well, hence why a lot of people didn't even know about them before missing their chance to buy them. It also sucks ass because I have a few friends I would have wanted to play it with online. I want to play underrated Forgotten Gems with my friends. But the atrocious part of it, which I've been slowly building up to and hinting at, is the amazing, spectacular Spider-Man games that will be forgotten to the sands of time. Trigger warning, as I'm about to piss off a bunch of Spider-Man PS4 drones that never played the older games, or people that were deceived into thinking most of the other Spider-Man games were bad because a bunch of YouTubers told them so. These older Spider-Man games had superior aspects to them, such as Web of Shadows having superior combat and animations at times, combat where you can't cheesingly take out an entire group of criminals with one move that you get at the very start of the game, along with other easy-handed to you moves. There's a boss rush mode in Spider-Man 2 where you can fight Rhino, Calypso, Shocker, and Doc Ock at once instead of Spider-Man PS4 just giving you a cutscene and two bosses at once at best, and hell, even most of them have superior web swinging that takes skill instead of doing everything for you like auto wall running, etc. Even Spider-Man 3 doesn't do that. Oh, and Spider-Man 2 and Web of Shadows objectively have faster swinging speeds on top of that. That's not an opinion, it's a fact. Bite me, drones. You also don't have to play as boring human token inserts that add blemishes to the story. You get to play as Green Goblin, New Goblin, Rhino, and the Lizard instead. They could have done Black Hat since their content was paid DLC anyway, like an actual great video game did. But nope. And they don't have the balls to make her look like, you know.
You just a nasty nigga, bro.
Along with deliberately making Mary Jane uglier, to the point where she looks better in Fortnite. As said before, combat is also less cheesable in like every single one of the other Spider-Man games. The PS4 ones are just good at looking cinematic and having skins, but that's it. Hopefully they improve crap with a sequel, but they probably won't since this was given 9 despite all of that semi-objective crap. Like dang, I can keep going with this crap, maybe it'll get a video. But the point is, all those great Spider-Man games that have one-ups over the current one cannot be played on current gen consoles. They never had 8th gen ports at any point whatsoever, and the licensing issues won't even let Xbox make them backwards compatible. Hell, they're not even on the shitty laggy PS Now bootleg streaming subscription. Like, sure, I could play them on my 360 and original Xbox, but that's more inconvenient, especially as a lot of newer TVs don't even have AMV ports. I guess this is one of the few instances where I could say PC Master Race due to them having easier access to them, but it shouldn't have to come to that, as DC and Star Wars have shown. Now, I'm not saying it has to happen with every old Marvel game, especially since some are justifiably forgettable crap, but it should happen with most of the significant ones, such as everything I mentioned so far, on top of a few X-Men games like X-Men 2, Origins, and much more, along with others that even I may have never touched myself, like Punisher, a few Hulk games, and Ultimate Spiderman as the one Spider-Man game I haven't got to yet. I see YouTubers make great retrospectives and content on these games, and I'm like, dang, if only I could buy it for my current console, or others that don't even have their older consoles as an option, or others that have sold their older ones, etc. Some of these videos get hella great views that I'm sure would have turned into game sales if the option was a thing. And speaking of content creators, which I am one of, as puny as I am, it being on newer consoles like PlayStation and Xbox would make capturing footage easier instead of having to briefly use footage of others. Links to them in description, I'll try to get them all. But I don't know, maybe this is partially on the consumer, as a lot of gamers are graphic whores who wouldn't play older games, even if they were backwards compatible or had ports. It's quite funny looking into comments of certain videos and seeing dummies or youngins say, oh, I really want to play a Wolverine game, or play a Storm, Deadpool, Fantastic Four members, Daredevil, etc. And I'm like, but then they ignore the opportunity to get what they want because it's a little old. Oh shoot, Avengers is underwhelming, I want a cool Marvel co-op game that has more characters to pick that I can play online with my friends, that has a good story mode. Why is Overwatch and Fortnite like my only superhero option? And I'm like, come on now, video games aren't like dating preferences. They don't have to be super gorgeous, especially if they mechanically hold up the important things like gameplay. It's not like I'm asking people to play NES games or anything before the 5th generation. Some of the graphics on a few of them hold up enough anyway, like Web of Shadows, Edge of Time, and Shattered Dimensions. Some Spider-Man suits look better than the PS4 version, to be honest, but whatever. Drones. There's too many examples of these types of gamers. They become most gamers ever since the 8th generation. Hence why most video games have become very dumb. It honestly surprises me that the slept on and illogically bandwagoned upon Xbox, which does a great job on game preservation with many other examples like Revengeance, Portal, Red Dead, San Andreas, and many more. Too bad Marvel and Activision won't let them do it for them. Xbox owns Activision now, but we'll see if anything retro Marvel related comes out of it. Might have to look into getting a few PC emulated games on the Series X, as I've seen a few YouTubers do. Which is quite funny, old God of War games being on an Xbox without a subscription, as opposed to the brand it's made for. But that's about it for this video. Check out my channel for other retro gaming videos as mentioned before, along with a few other critical videos of mine. Thanks for watching.